Citroën C3 Aircross has been a practical if not an obvious choice in the C SUV segment. So does the addition of a new automatic transmission help its case? The Citroën C3 Aircross continues to do a decent job of standing out in the crowd. The color options work well, but the SUV does well to distill the look of the C5 Aircross down to this lower price point. You see this with a simple but thoughtfully sculpted bodywork. The two-part front grille design is a good source of attention, despite the halogen lamps being shared with the C3 Aircross. The side is functional with its large windows and doors, but again the offbeat design is a good foil to this, along with the smart 17-inch alloy wheels. The rear too stands out with the heavy detailing of the C-shaped tail lamps and various textures further helping this SUV. Now, we've always liked the way Citroën's cars drive, and that continues even in the case of this C3 Aircross Automatic. To start with, you get that feeling that you're driving an SUV. You sit pretty high up, you can look down the bonnet, the windscreen is wide, the windows are large, so you have that nice airy feel. And then this engine, this 1.2 turbo petrol with its 110 PS, we've always liked it. We've always counted it right at the top of these small turbo petrols because of how linear it is, of how relatively smooth it is, and just in the way it gives you that energetic, engaging performance. So that continues with the added 15 Nm of torque. So even with the automatic gearbox now in the picture, you don't feel that it's sapping power. You don't feel like the car is a bit sluggish. So it's still brisk. You still have a good deal of performance, as you can see. And if you're not too hard with it, it's got that smooth flow. It'll always keep you in the power band. Even at low speeds in traffic, you never feel like it's shuffling between gears, looking to put you in the power band. So yeah, in that sense, it's mated to this engine really quite well. And even the shifts themselves, say when you're traveling around and you just want to really get going, it takes a bit of time, but nothing out of the ordinary. Of course, it's not sharp and quick like a DCT, but it's also not slow by any stretch. Yes, maybe paddle shifters could have been added, but for the people who will be looking at buying this car, that's really not a concern, I think. And either way, you can always put it in this manual mode, which does quicken up both the upshifts and downshifts. So in that sense, yeah, if you want that added control, this is always there. There are no surprises with the rest of the driving experience. The ride is slightly firm but has that solid, well-damped feel to it. The C3 Aircross seems built to handle imperfect roads in a way that seems comfortable over rough patches. This continues at higher speeds with good stability. Also commendable is the way it feels while around bends. Body roll is kept in check and the steering has good heft and directness. You have a sense of what the car is doing at most times, making driving easy and fun. Now, as you would expect, the interior is very familiar. It's exactly the same as in the regular C3 Aircross and even the C3 hatchback. So yeah, you have some different colors. However, you have this slightly greenish, brownish kind of shade here, which again looks pretty decent with the textures, and same with the finish over here. But generally, in this segment, for the price of this car, we think some of the touch points like these controls or even the stocks or even these vents, they could have been slightly heftier. But that's something we've repeatedly pointed out with Citroën. But other things stand out again as usual. This touchscreen, which is pretty decent to use. It's simple, but gets you wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay connectivity, which is great. And also this instrument cluster, which is the digital one. Again, you've seen this before in the regular C3 Aircross, and like in that car, it's actually very nicely done. It gives you good information. The various display modes, they give you just the right amount of information, and the trip computer is pretty detailed, which you wouldn't say in the C3 hatch earlier. So in that sense, it's a good addition. Now, of course, you don't have too many soft materials anywhere, but as a driver, you're fairly sorted. So the steering wheel has this leatherette covering, which is nice, soft to hold. You get soft covers on the armrest and this folding armrest. This is not a very wide car, remember, but you still get this armrest. So yeah, finding a seating position is pretty comfortable, and the seats too, they have this nice upholstery, which feels expensive. So yeah, you have a good amount of support. But yeah, the one big change is this gear selector. But yeah, again, like some of the other bits in this car, it's slightly eccentric. So you have this pretty old-fashioned gated action to it, which you don't see very often, but it must be said that it feels tactile. So pushing it into gear or one gear to another is really quite simple. A positive of this is the good practicality. You have quite a few storage spots in both the rows, and in this Tourer version, the boot is a very usable 511 liters. The screens are a good addition, as is the remote start and cooling function on top trims. You even get a one-touch down function for all the windows. But you are still missing features that are now commonplace in this segment. This includes push-button start, auto headlamps and wipers, as well as cruise control and telescopic steering adjustment. Safety leaves much to be desired too. You have 2 airbags, a reversing camera, hill hold, and TPMS as highlights. Now we're driving the automatic C3 Acros in its 2-row guise, which means that you don't get that AC blower system here, and of course no sunroof. And that might be an issue considering this is a big cabin, so in hot summer weather it might take some time for the cabin to be cool, considering there are no vents below us as well. But that being said, again, it's not a very wide car. It's about as wide as say a sub 4 meter SUVs, but 3 abreast will be a slightly tight fit. But look past that, and again you're greeted with a practical, spacious feeling place to spend time in. There is, as you can see, quite a bit of knee and leg room for me. The roof in the shape that it is, with it being scooped out a little bit, I have a lot of headroom. The windows are large, so it feels airy. And yeah, the seat back itself is pretty comfortable. The cushioning is firm but pretty nicely done. And yeah, this bench is maybe a touch too flat, and maybe I would have wanted a bit more thigh support. But other than that, for a family car, or even if you want to take 5 together, the C3 Acros does its job decently well. And then of course you have this section here with cup holders and a place to put your phone. But again, like we've always said, these windows in the center, they are not very convenient. And yeah, throughout the car too, you only get type A ports, and maybe a type C port here would have been a good addition. Priced between rupees 12.85 lakh and rupees 13.85 lakh, you are getting quite a bit of car for the money. The Citroën C3 Acros continues to impress with its quite polished driving experience. The new automatic gearbox melds into this well with its straightforward functioning. Other highlights continue to be the looks and space that's on offer inside. But like before, the C3 Acros needs the features and safety credentials that are so key now in the competitive segment it functions in to be a more viable option.